My name is Tia, and I'm here to share my journey through a toxic relationship. It all began 5 years ago when my friend Shonda introduced me to John on a blind date. She described him as handsome and sexy, which piqued my interest. When John called me for the first time, I was caught off guard, but we instantly clicked. Our conversation lasted all night, and I was drawn to his deep, smooth voice. After that first call, John asked me out, and our first date was at the mall. We roamed around, he showered me with gifts, and we enjoyed a lovely lunch together. For the next few weeks, everything felt magical. 3 weeks in, he moved in with me, and those first few months were filled with passion. John seemed to anticipate my every need, often surprising me with sexual gestures. His presence at home was magnetic. He would greet me in the most intimate ways as I returned from work. However, as time went on, a concerning pattern emerged. John didn't seem interested in getting a job. Initially, it felt charming, almost like a playful dependency. But as responsibilities kicked in, I found myself worried, especially about bills piling up. I approached him one day, gently encouraging him to consider work. His response broke my heart. He claimed no one would hire him because he was a felon. Instead of seeking an answer, John shifted the conversation by showering me with affection, kissing my neck and trying to ignite my passion again. But I couldn't shake off the worry gnawing at my mind. The growing electric bill haunted my thoughts. I was lost between love and the reality of our situation. The romance that once swept me off my feet turned into a cycle of unfulfilled promises and avoidance of responsibilities. It became apparent to me that John was a little selfish and naive when it came to the realization of how bills are paid. I said to him, "I work 12-hour shifts. If you get a job, it'll take some of the stress off of me of paying all the bills by myself." He then turned to me and said, "I'll go out tomorrow and look for a job. Come get in bed with me." I climbed in bed. He then took me to ecstasy. As the morning light streamed in, I awoke feeling the familiar weight of responsibility. Hopping into the shower, I let the warm water wash over me while my mind buzzed with thoughts of the bills waiting to be paid. The rich aroma of brewing coffee offered a brief moment of solace. Glancing into the bedroom, I saw John, sound asleep and blissfully unaware of the worries creeping into my mind. "What time are you going to start looking for a job today?" I asked as I finished getting ready. "Oh, around 9 o'clock, he replied, barely opening his eyes. I nodded, giving him a quick kiss, hopeful for his motivation. At lunch, I called John, eager to check in. The upbeat music and laughter in the background told me his friends were over. My heart sank. "Did you go job hunting?" I asked, trying to keep my tone light. "Yeah, but ain't nobody hiring no felons," he said nonchalantly. Frustration bubbled inside me. I ended the call, unease creeping in as I returned to work, each tick of the clock amplifying my concerns. After my shift, I visited temp agencies, picking up applications for John. When I got home, I found the living room empty and John lying on the bed, waiting for my return. "I'm a little tired," I muttered, but he had other ideas. He pulled me close, whispering, "You know you can't resist me." There was a magnetic pull between us, but I turned away, my worries still looming. I handed him the applications. His face turned indifferent. "I'll fill them out later." Disappointment sank in, the desire to see him step up burning in my chest. But then he embraced me, and desire took over, consuming us both in passion. The next morning I awoke with urgency. Bills were pressing down, and I began paying them on my phone, each transaction reminding me that love alone couldn't keep us afloat. I longed for a partner who shared the weight and would fight for our future alongside me. But as I look back at John, still asleep in bed, the applications I gave him are not filled out, a state of disappointment creeping in my heart. As John lay in bed without a worry in the world, I felt the weight of our reality and the uncertainty of tomorrow. As the sun crept through the blinds, casting stripes of light across the room, I glanced at John lying there, carefree and oblivious to the worries weighing me down. My frustration bubbled, and with no warning, I snatched up the job applications from the coffee table and hurled them at him while he slept. "Wake up, John!" I shouted, the anger surging through me like an electric shock. He stirred, blinking awake, confusion turning quickly into irritation as he spotted the crumpled pages around him. "Stop asking me about a freaking job!" he snapped, his voice thick with sleep and annoyance. My heart raced. The tension in the room felt palpable. As he stood, a storm of rage brewed inside me. I couldn't hold back anymore. In a heated moment, he approached me, and in a swift motion, he shoved me onto the couch. The surprise of it caught me off guard, and my emotions swirled into a chaotic mixture of anger and desire. I slapped his face while exclaiming, "You're such a loser!" Yet, as he hovered over me, the frustration faded. He leaned in, kissing me passionately, the fight dissolving as desire ignited. I could feel his manhood pressing against mine, the unmistakable imprint of his arousal igniting a heat within me. The couch turned into our battleground of passion, mixing fury and longing into an intoxicating blend. After that whirlwind moment, I peeled myself off the couch, feeling the remnants of our scuffle still buzzing in the air. I headed to the shower, letting the warm water wash away the tension as I prepared for work. Dressed in my work clothes, I glanced back at John, who was already cocooned back in sleep. "John, honey, could you please make sure you fill out those applications before I get home?" I called out, trying to inject a sense of responsibility in my voice. He turned slightly, barely lifting his head off the pillow, and muttered, "Yeah, sure," before allowing himself to drift back into slumber. My heart sank as I stepped out, knowing that my words often slipped away into his dreams. Getting into my car, I cranked up the volume to Mary J. Blige and sang along, "I'm Not Gonna Cry," a mantra that kept me grounded through the stress. Pulling into the office parking lot, I steadied myself for another day. Laughter from colleagues and the hum of the workplace greeted me like an old friend as I settled into my routine. During my lunch break, I dialed John's number, hoping to hear good news. The chatter of his friends filled the background. "John, please make sure you have that application finished before I get off work," I gently reminded him, my tone laced with a mixture of annoyance and love. "Yeah, sure," he replied dismissively, laughter echoing in the background. We exchanged a few sweet words, and as I told him, "I love you," it felt like a lifeline thrown into a turbulent sea. I hung up and returned to my tasks, but I couldn't shake my hope that we would find our way through this together. Stay tuned, part 4. As the day drew to a close, I felt a mix of exhaustion and hope. The sunset outside mirrored my thoughts, a reminder that even after the darkest days, light would return. Driving home, I felt the weight of the day pressing down on me. I kept glancing at my phone, hoping for a message or call from John that could ease the tension lingering in my heart. Stepping into the house, I was met with an unsettling silence. The remnants of our earlier confrontation loomed large, filling the air with a sense of unresolved tension. I called out for John, but no answer came. My heart sank as I spotted my phone on the table, a message alert flashing. Was it too late to bridge the gap between us? With trembling hands, I picked up the phone, staring at the unread message from John. My heart raced. Would this text bring clarity or deepen the chasm that seemed to grow between us? As I opened the message, a wave of emotions washed over me. John's words danced between reassurance and indifference, leaving me with more questions than answers about our future together. Sinking onto the couch, I felt the weight of his message settle in. The chaos of my aspirations intertwined with the turmoil of our relationship, leaving me at a crossroads. As I stared out into the night, the city lights twinkled like possibilities. I clutched the crumpled job application, torn between my desire for professional success and the complexities of love with John. With newfound resolve, I stood up and placed the job application back on the table. It was time to take control, not just of my career, but of my relationship with John. I took a deep breath and picked up my phone again, ready to dial John's number. I needed to confront the issues between us directly, hoping for clarity in the fog of confusion. I pressed call, my heart racing as the line connected. I hoped he would answer, ready to confront the emotions that had been simmering between us. As the phone rang, I felt a rush of anticipation mixed with fear. On the other end,